Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very next session of our daily mains question discussion. And this is the second session in which we are going to discuss how to approach the daily mains question, the mains question, and how you should practice writing them, and how you should, develop your skill of writing answers for the GS main paper. The topic that we are covering under my sessions are Indian Society of GS paper 1, and we are going to see how to deal with the questions that's going to come in the main paper. Little bit of tiny tips before I start getting on to the previous year questions, because in my previous session I discussed these points in detail, but I think that in every session I should bring these points, because they are important points to remember. Unless or until you remember these points in your mind, you will not be able to write effectively. And I always say that mains are only about answer writing. Okay, so you have to be very very clearly clear about it, that your answer writing strategies are effective, and you're doing that task effectively. So let's see these points that are important before we get on to the mains answer writing session. Syllabus and previous year question paper should be very clear to you, because that is going to tell you what to study. That is going to tell you how to approach your content. देखिए हर सब्जेक्ट के बहुत सारा it's a wide content, but so how to narrow down to the content that you are supposed to read would depend on your understanding of syllabus and previous year questions. So you have to be thorough with that. Previous year question भी अगर आप पिछले 10 साल के ले लेंगे तो that will be better. 10 years. Alright? So this is for to know the content, to know the boundary of your subject कि आपको क्या पढ़ना है. Okay. Then you are supposed to write unbiased answer. As I said, the answers should be unbiased. Whenever you are writing your answer, you are not taking any sides or any what do you say? Your approach should not show any instinct of discrimination or any favoritism. So you are supposed to take neutral approach while writing your answers. That you are discussing the positive side also, you are discussing the negative side also, and at the end you are taking a neutral approach that is unbiased. You should look unbiased and neutral and based on the government strategies जो भी उस एरिया में चल रही हैं. So when you start writing your answers, you have to make a flow chart of how to approach your answer writing. So first of all, write little bit of topic ka history of that particular topic, and that history can also be not necessarily history, but you can also start with a little bit of definition, what is the meaning of that particular thing which are being asked. Then come to some of the facts related to those topics, recent debates and recent developments around those topics. See, as I told in the last class also, आपका you might feel that Indian society, I have fair knowledge about Indian society because I am part of Indian society, I stay here. But वो जो common sense है उससे you will not be able to write the answer which is for 150 words or let's say 250 words, right? You will not be able to answer in this much word limit. So to substantiate your answer, to embellish your answer, to decorate your answer, you need to make your answer rich and strong, you need recent debates. you need recent developments. All right. It will be very, very helpful if you bring some Supreme Court recent judgments in your answer. So, what are we trying to do by bringing these debates and recent development and Supreme Court judgments in our answer? We are going to tell the examiner that yes, I have a knowledge of the topic which is a bit vast. I know this topic from multiple sources. So my knowledge is little wider. I can handle the situation. See, जो भी सवाल आपसे पूछा जाता है मेंस में, especially about Indian society, it is largely to understand whether you can handle, these changes in the Indian society in the times to come, whether you can handle these aspects of Indian society in the times to come, because they are not only checking your knowledge, they are also checking your administrative skills. Alright. So वो skills कैसे आएंगी? वो skill holistic and wider knowledge से आएगी, and they will come from, if you are aware of recent debates and developments, and that's how you make your approach towards those issues. So the idea is that how you are aware of these situations. When you make notes of your answers, as I said, start with a little bit of definition, history, and then move towards the contemporary development in the direction in which the question is asked. Very importantly, when you are answering the question, you have to keep one thing in mind for sure. You have to answer the question as per the demands of the question and not as per the way you want to answer it. So the answer should be as per the question. So आपको demand of the question को you have to understand that first, and then you bring those recent development, contemporary developments, debates, Supreme Court judgments as per what has been asked in the question. Okay. Now let us quickly move to the last time. In the last video, I covered the previous year questions of or answer writing of questions of 2022. In this one I'm gonna take up 2021 previous year questions of Indian Society GS paper 1. So we are taking Indian Society GS paper 1 previous year question, and now let's see how to answer them. Okay, let's take the whole. These are the questions that came. Okay, six questions, and now let's try to understand how each and every question has. As I said, you have to understand the demand of the question. So when you get a question paper, try to understand, read it very carefully, and try to understand the feeling of what is being asked from me to answer, and then make a framework in your mind that how am I going to answer it. So let's take the first question. Examine the uniqueness of, and I'm going to underline the main things. Examine the uniqueness of the tribal knowledge system. यहाँ से keep one thing in mind. They are not asking for tribes. They are asking for more than that. They are asking for tribal knowledge system here. जो tribes के पास अपना indigenous or अपना older, and we call it indigenous knowledge, they are asking for that. So examine the uniqueness of the tribal knowledge system when compared to mainstream knowledge and culture system. So first of all, this question divides the tribal knowledge system and rest of the Indian mainstream knowledge system in two ways, in two parts. So it has to be different than the mainstream knowledge system. Mainstream क्या है? See, India is divided into tribes, tribal land. Let's say tribal land and mainstream land. Alright, so wherever there are tribal areas, they are called tribal land. You know those, now you know the meaning of if you go by the meaning of tribes which are there in that land for centuries, for many years, they have their own association with that land, they have their own knowledge system of that land, they are continuing with their culture in that land, and they are another very prime concern related to tribe is that they are still underdeveloped. But जो mainstream land है, it's going on with lot of changes. We can't say that the land has been like this for ages. You can't also say that the rest of the India is completely underdeveloped. But when we see tribal land as compared to mainland, they are a bit underdeveloped, or sometimes very much underdeveloped. So this is the difference between tribal land and mainstream land. So when you have a difference between tribal land and mainstream land clear, then you come to the knowledge system of the tribal knowledge system and the mainstream knowledge system. अब दो लैंड की knowledge system किस तरह से different है या unique है, और tribal knowledge system किस तरह से unique है as compared to the mainstream knowledge. Mainstream land जो अब रेस्ट ऑफ द इंडिया की जो नॉलेज पूल बनता है या कल्चर सिस्टम बनता है, उससे ट्राइबल नॉलेज हाउ इट इज़ डिफरेंट. सो दिस क्वेश्चन इज डेफिनेटली अबाउट ट्राइब्स, बट इट्स नॉट अ वेरी डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन. मैंने I've said that in my many of my previous sessions, that you have to keep in mind, you have to be very clear about one thing, that questions are not going to come in a direct manner to you. If the topic is tribes in your content, in your syllabus, don't think that they're going to ask you what do you mean by Indian tribes, or write a short note about tribes in India. No. See, the question has come in a way that you are supposed to know little deeper about Indian tribes. Not only little deeper about Indian tribes, but about how their knowledge system is formed. Okay. So this is how this question is being asked. So I would put it in this manner, that this is how the demands of this question are being framed, that they are talking about tribes through the tribal knowledge system. Alright? अब इसमें आपसे कोई specific tribe के बारे में नहीं पूछा है, but you can give example of specific tribes if you know about their some knowledge system which is so specific to their community and their tribes. Alright? So, and that's how you bring in front of the examiner that, see, I know how the tribes are being how the different tribes have different kind of knowledge system, by giving your example. Okay. Now let's come to the second question. We are going to deal with these questions separately also, but let's understand the different feel of these questions. The second question is, examine the role of the gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. Another point that I've been saying in my all session, that two topics within the Indian society syllabus would definitely be merged together, and then the question will be asked. So what you are doing is, what they have done is, they have asked about gig economy for sure, but again not very directly. They have asked it in the process of empowerment of women in India. Okay? So empowerment of women is another separate topic. पर आपसे उसको कैसे पूछा गया? आपसे उसको गिग इकोनॉमी के थ्रू पूछा गया है, which means that you not only need to know about different aspect of women empowerment in India, you are also supposed to know about gig economy, right? अब gig economy क्या होता है, how it is called gig economy, we are going to discuss that in the, when we discuss this answer. But let's take the feel of the question. It says you are supposed to examine the role of gig economy in the process of women empowerment in India. In the times to come, this kind of question, how it can change, right? They can also ask about the role of IT, information and technology, in the process of empowerment in India. They can also ask about globalization and changes in the market for the women empowerment in India. With globalization ke through, we got foreign direct investment, and then that kind of labor market came in India, where the female labor force participation increased a little bit. IT education, higher education increased after globalization, and how women participated in this labor market, and how it is leading to their empowerment. So that can be another form of asking this question on empowerment of women in India. So इस क्वेश्चन में दो चीज़ें पूछी गई हैं, empowerment of women in India and the gig economy. Now the gig economy can also be asked in many ways. That what is the role of gig economy in the understanding of changes in the youth labor. How, because generally whoever is participating in gig economy, they are largely the young technology savvy, a little bit technology savvy people. So gig economy का youth empowerment or employment से related question can come in the future. See, when we are discussing this answer writing, previous year question strategies, you have to keep in mind we are discussing it to understand what can come in future, because these questions are not going to come in future, that is for sure. But through the writing process of these questions, through the understanding of these questions, we can at least guess what is going to come in the future. और आने वाले समय में मेंस एग्जाम में किस तरह के सवाल आ सकते हैं. So you have to interchange these things. Whenever women empowerment is asked, you please try to replace it with youth or senior citizen. Okay, let's say rural population, whichever is marginalized, other marginalized section of society. Because empowerment उसी का होता है ना जो marginalized whoever has remained marginalized in the society till now. So whenever they are asking for one section of that of our society, please try to replace it with other marginalized section, and how this question can fit to analyze their empowerment. Try to think from that perspective. If you develop the skill of thinking from that perspective, then you will be able to answer multiple kinds of questions. Or if you develop the skill of looking at the question from multiple perspective or multiple vulnerable section perspective, then the thinking process of your would be such that you will be apply that thinking process of answering any surprise question as well, right? See, it's like this. If you keep on thinking and writing in one particular frame, so वो frame से अगर वो frame round हो जाता है, then you will not be able to fit your understanding in that. Okay, but while answer writing practice session, you keep on changing your frame. Okay, अच्छा ये question ऐसे भी पूछ सकते हैं, ऐसे भी पूछ सकते हैं. It can come in this way also, it can come in this way also. So the surprise element of any sort, you will be able to answer. Okay, so try to develop that skill of looking at a question and developing that skill of expecting the question from how many different ways this question can be twisted and turned for the future examination. Okay, now let us move to the next question. What are the main socio-economic implication? Question number 3. What are the main socio-economic implications arising out of what? Development of IT industries in major cities of India. Let me tell you one more thing. This socio-economic implication can also be replaced by gig economy. I can frame a question that what are the main IT industry can also be replaced by gig economy. So I can frame another question, what are the main socio-economic implications arising out of the development of gig economy in the major cities of India, right? So that's how you have to replace different concept or different terms that are used in question and how the question can take a new form. So अब इस question में क्या पूछा जा रहा है? They are asking about what? They are asking about that when the development of IT industry is happening in the cities of India. अब आपको cities पे आना है. And then out of that, what are when this development happened, what kind of socio-economic implications came forward? Okay, so here we have to talk about what you see at the social level and what you see at the economic level when there is a development of IT industry in India. Now let me tell you, or let me give you a lens to develop a skill to look at thing at the social level. When you are looking at thing at the social level, you see it from what is the impact of the same on the family, women, and employment. Because why employment is social? Because employment is directly related to migration, and if the migration happens, it has a very wide social implication. Okay, so that's how you look at the social implication of IT industry. Economic implication would be what? That how it is changing the, let's say, if you take it here, how it is changing the consumption patterns, how is it contributing to, economically contributing to countries' growth, how is it contributing into the labor market, and so on and so forth. So this is how you are supposed to approach this question. पर उसके लिए आपको एक और चीज़ पता होना चाहिए कि how the development of IT industry happened in the Indian society, why it happened in the Indian society, when it started, how it started. You have to bring globalization, economic liberalization period here. So like that, and all the IT firms were established in the major cities only, right? So like that, you have to see how these major cities in India, where the IT industry expansion started happening. So in cities, what kind of socio-economic implication you see out of that? This is a question that is being asked from you. So you have to put that in that perspective only. Now let's move to the next question. Discuss the main objectives of population education and point out measures to achieve them in India in detail. Okay, so when this question is being asked, then first of all you have to talk about population education. What is it? But when you have to discuss the main objective of population education, you have to talk about the objective of population education by explaining what is it. Alright, and then it is how it is point out the measure to achieve them in India in detail. If you talk about population education, it will cover family planning and responsible attitude towards population related issues in India, and how when people are educated about population growth, how to control them, what are the implications of that on our society and economy, then it was brought into the knowledge of people to achieve them, that if we do not control population, then this will happen, and then these kind of economic losses will happen, the growth will not happen. So that's how this question is mixing that population education is definitely important to bring to public knowledge, but at the same time it is जिसका जो objective है, how it has been achieved in India till now, how what are the measures which are being used to achieve them in India, the objective of population education. So we are going to discuss this also in detail. Question number 5, what is cryptocurrency? आप लोगों ने इसका नाम recently बहुत सुना होगा, and again this question has come because this is a recent phenomenon that has come forward in the economy, world economy, and that is why it has come in the recent in 2021 GS paper. So they want to check your knowledge, whether you are aware of it, how does it affect global society. यहाँ पे जो implication है वो society पे पूछा गया है, economy पे नहीं पूछा गया है. Alright, they are not asking for economy, they are asking for the effect of global society. Has it been affecting Indian society also? Now after understanding, so this question is actually a very tricky in the sense that they're trying to understand your knowledge at the global society level, and also specifically to Indian society level. So you have to be very, very careful to answer this question. It needs wider understanding on this topic. So, which means what? In future, whatever is happening at the world, at the global level or the whole world level, वो phenomenon आपसे पूछा जा सकता है पेपर में in terms of its impact on the global level and also in terms of its impact on India. Both. So that is how you have to see that whenever you are reading about a phenomenon, you should imagine and must imagine its impact on the Indian society as well. Very important, because only global effect पूछा जा सकता है, पर जब इंडियन सोसाइटी सेक्शन में वो क्वेश्चन आएगा तो इंडियन सोसाइटी इम्पैक्ट डेफिनेटली विल बी आस्क्ड. सो कीप दैट इन माइंड. Next question, and I think apparently the last question of the year 2021. How does Indian society maintain continuity in traditional social values? Enumerate the changes taking place in it. This question is also twisted. Once you read the first section of this question, okay, then you will feel, okay, this question has come from a very conventional topic of diversity, unity in diversity. That kind of a topic has been asked, and that is why this question has come, that how does Indian society मेंटेन कॉन्टीन्यूटी इन ट्रेडिशनल सोशल वैल्यूज. ठीक है, तो ये यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी टाइप क्वेश्चन आपको साउंड करेगा. बट अगेन, एज आई ऑलवेज से, दिस क्वेश्चन हैज ऑल्सो बीन substantiated by another following question, or the following part of the question, that you have to enumerate the changes taking place in it, whether this continuity in traditional social values is changing or not changing. They are asking you that. Rather, they are asking that you have to bring those changes here, because somehow they have already mentioned that you need to enumerate the changes taking place in it. That means this question is going by the assumption already that the changes are taking place in it. You have to answer that how it is changing by giving examples. Enumerate the changes, means you have to give the changes and also cite some examples of how these changes are happening. So this is how the question. This is how the question is now. If you do the whole analysis of this whole paper, this whole sheet that I am discussing right now, none of the question is direct. First of all. And all the questions are interrelated to different topics. Another topic or two topics are being combined together. Okay? So that is how you have to understand the spirit of the examiner, that what kind of questions they plan to set. So this is to give you the understanding of that. Now let us move to the all questions separately. Now let's take our first question, which is about examine the uniqueness of tribal knowledge system when compared to mainstream knowledge and culture system. Okay, tribal knowledge को compare करना है not only with mainstream knowledge but also with culture system. Okay, so the tribal knowledge system differ from mainstream knowledge and culture system in various ways. So you have to say that you have to bring your introduction in this manner, in which you first establish this fact that yes, tribal knowledge system is different from the mainstream knowledge system and cultural system. I'm using the abbreviation just for the sake of understanding, in various ways. First, you establish this fact by saying that okay, now I'm going to talk about how it is going. Differ in various ways. So first you have to say it does differ from the mainstream knowledge system and culture system, and let me explain various ways on which they are different. First of all, when they are saying knowledge system, अब उसको different होने के लिए first of all you have to talk about the source of knowledge. So tribal knowledge system stems from indigenous community. Indigenous community means the local, the communities of that particular land who are staying in that particular land for a long time. Okay, so the knowledge of the land, the source of the knowledge is the indigenous knowledge. Indigenous word, you remember that because that is going to be useful in various answers of Indian society. Indigenous means largely, अगर आप उसको बहुत commonly समझना चाहें, it's a local knowledge of that particular land, which is specific to that land, right? So their knowledge is based on indigenous communities and their experiences. Indigenous communities का जो नॉलेज है, एक तो वो उनका नॉलेज का सोर्स होता है, and it's also plus about their experience of staying in that land for a long time. Okay, so these two things are the sources of their knowledge. Whereas अब उसको आपको किससे कंपेयर करना है, मेन स्ट्रीम नॉलेज सिस्टम से. सो यू से कि इनका सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज तो इंडिजिनियस कम्युनिटी नॉलेज से आता है, एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ स्टेइंग इन दैट लैंड से आता है. अब नाउ यू विल आस्क मी हाउ द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ स्टेइंग इन दैट लैंड, हाउ डज इट बिकम अ सोर्स ऑफ नॉलेज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इंडिया हैज़ अ वास्ट flora and fauna. It has a vast variety of local lands, flora and fauna, and so they have a knowledge of what kind of medicine, local medicine can be produced from usage of those natural resources, trees, herbs. So they have that knowledge which the mainstream people might not have. Many communities have a knowledge about what is good crop in that land, how to grow it, what is the basic or the indigenous ways of growing things. So and about their language, that is also continued over a period of long time. It is not being taught, but their local language is also based on their experience. It is not a formal language, but their local language. So like that, there are various kinds of knowledge base that comes from the land or staying in that land for a very long time. Now if we come to the mainstream knowledge system, their knowledge system comes from where? Largely from formal education. We read about things and that's how we know about that thing. It's not that our knowledge is primarily based on some local understanding of उसमें ये भी एक कारण है कि because the mainstream land is being where people kept on migrating, kept on changing their base, so the knowledge kept on getting disturbed. It did not remain pure. Many people come there, then they contribute their knowledge in that particular land, and that's how it kept on changing. It did not remain pure. However, the tribal knowledge system remained intact, untouched for a long time. Okay, so one difference is that their knowledge is based on experience and indigenous knowledge, indigenous communities, but mainstream knowledge system is based on formal education. And what is formal education? Is on scientific research. Okay, so for example, there are some tribes in Tamil Nadu such as Toda tribe. They possess indigenous knowledge of dairy farming. That knowledge is there over a period of generations, and they did not gain this knowledge out of any book, any formal education, but it is there as part of their community, and that's how their knowledge base is indigenous or very much coming from generations and history and very much local. Okay, so that is one difference. Another difference would be that how this knowledge is transmitted. एक तो source of knowledge हो गया, one is the source of knowledge, and another point is that how this, so first let me write it here. The first would be source of knowledge, then how the knowledge is transmitted. So transmitted, the tribal knowledge is passed down by oral narratives, by telling those knowledge from one generation to another generation through rituals, through storytelling, while mainstream knowledge is transmitted through written text, mass media, and formal institution. So here, the local storytelling or word of mouth, intergenerational interaction is very important to transmit that knowledge. That's how the knowledge is transmitted. But the mainstream knowledge is transmitted. It comes from formal education and scientific research, so it is transmitted through books, as I read it here, books, or let's say written text. Okay. Now, how this knowledge is, ये तो source of knowledge हो गया, but how this knowledge transmission हो गया, but how this knowledge is gained. It is very important to understand that tribes have a very, they have a very close connection with nature. They have connection with nature, which people from mainstream India do not have much. So you have to bring that aspect of tribal knowledge system also in this answer. The tribal knowledge system are deeply rooted in the environment, emphasizing the interconnected of their knowledge system is interconnection of humans and animals, because they stay very close to the nature, to the environment. They stay very close to animals. Animal husbandry is very much part of their culture and knowledge system. So, and nature, human, nature and animals, they stay very closely in the tribal communities. Okay, so mainstream knowledge often prioritizes human perspective and economic development. They are only focusing on economic development and they are human, their focus is more on human. Okay, I'm sure you're making your notes simultaneously. So that's how this is different, that their focus is more, however, a mainstream knowledge system is also moving towards what you call sustainability. This is also happening. But their understanding of knowledge has remained sustainable throughout. Their knowledge is never devoid of the idea of sustainability. They were always sustainable. Because they are dealing with the nature. Their survival depends on the survival of the nature. So that's how their ways of usage of nature or natural resources have always remained sustainable. Right? They always try to protect the resources of their land instead of misusing them. Because their approach is not economic development, it is not only human centric, it is a mix of human, animal and nature. They keep the interests of all of these in mind. Another way where this knowledge system is different from the mainstream knowledge is the tribal knowledge system takes a holistic view, integrating spiritual, social and ecological aspect. Why spiritual? because so why, see, once we said source is different, transmission is different, their connection to nature is different. Now another this thing is that their knowledge is they take a holistic approach towards knowledge, which means that the tribal knowledge system takes is an integration of spiritual. Why spiritual? Because they worship nature, so they have a very spiritual understanding or perspective towards nature. So it is spiritual, at the same time social, and at the same time ecological. और इसमें इकोनॉमिक नहीं आता बिकॉज इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट इज़ नॉट देयर मोटो, बिकॉज दैट इज़ वाई दिस सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी हैज़ रिमेन अंडर डेवलप्ड, बिकॉज इकोनॉमिकली डेवलप होना है, दैट इज़ नॉट देयर प्रायोरिटी. दैट देयर प्रायोरिटी इज़ टू स्टे alive or to survive without depleting natural resources in a best possible sustainable manner. So that's how their understanding of knowledge is holistic. When the motto of the existence is only single-handedly taking care of economic development, then the approach is never taken in the holistic manner. Holistic manner means कि आप सिर्फ एक ही चीज़ के बारे में सोचते हैं, जो कि होता है आपका इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट और ह्यूमन इंटरेस्ट. और यहाँ पे होलिस्टिक अप्रोच है जहाँ पे सिर्फ इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट के बारे में नहीं पूछा जाता है. इट इज़ और इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट इज़ नॉट ओनली दी only motto, it's also the social development or the social survival, which means social survival मतलब क्या होता है, wherever the motto is economic development, उसमें changes बहुत होते हैं society में. हाँ, because economy is a prime is a prime focus. So whatever the cultural changes हो रहे हैं उसके चलते, जैसे globalization आया, उसके चलते जो cultural changes हो रहे हैं, that was not a prime concern. Our concern was that how the economy should move forward. But here, the culture change is the prime focus. They don't want to change their culture for the economic development. So that's why they always take a holistic approach towards the knowledge system that they create and that they use. लोकल, अब इसमें आप एग्जांपल भी दे सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल देजी अपतानी ट्राइब इन अरुणाचल प्रदेश दैट प्रैक्टिसेस इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग कंबाइनिंग राइस कल्टीवेशन विद फिश फार्मिंग. सो उनका जो सर्वाइवल है वो राइस कल्टीवेशन और फिश फार्मिंग पे चलता है, राइट. So that's how it's a holistic. For this you need to have a holistic understanding of the land and also on the other resources, natural resources on your land. और तभी दो तरह के focus of survival of cultivation and farming can go together. Okay. Another difference that you have in tribal knowledge and mainstream knowledge and culture system is that tribal knowledge is context specific, tailored to local communities, whereas mainstream knowledge promotes universal principles and standardized practice. Okay, so as I said, tribal knowledge is very much local. Mainstream knowledge is very much global because it comes from global trends. The creation of this knowledge, mainstream knowledge, start with a global trend. और फिर हम उसको अपने कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अप्लाई करने की कोशिश करते हैं. बट द ट्राइबल नॉलेज स्टार्ट्स विद द लोकल ट्रेंड विच हैज़ बीन देयर over the generations, many generations, and that's how it is different from the mainstream knowledge. Mainstream knowledge promotes universal principles and standardized practices, but local knowledge, they focus on context specific principles. इन कंक्लूजन ट्राइबल अब इसके बाद जब आपने ये सब पॉइंट्स बता दिए कि सोर्सेज आर डिफरेंट, ट्रांसमिशन इज डन इन अ डिफरेंट मैनर, they have a connection with nature, they have holistic approach towards their knowledge pool, their knowledge pool is more local than global. Okay, when you have mentioned all these, then you have to come to the conclusion. And how do you conclude? You will say the tribal knowledge system is certainly, has a unique perspective that actually complements mainstream knowledge, recognizing that and valuing these contributions can foster inclusive and diverse. It provides diverse knowledge pool to the Indian context. You can say that. So at the end, you have to जब आपने difference बता दिया, then you have to also say that how they complement each other, how tribal knowledge adds or contributes to the mainstream knowledge. It adds diversity to the mainstream knowledge. It is also, it also provide the idea of sustainability to the mainstream knowledge, because that comes through the local tribal knowledge only. And it also gives us the motivation to have inclusive growth policies. We should take अब जब वहाँ पर हमारी लैंड पे दो तरह के नॉलेज सिस्टम एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं, इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट दैट आवर पॉलिसी शुड बी मेड फॉर द सर्वाइवल ऑफ बोथ. वी शुड हैव डाइवर्सिफाइड व्यू ऑफ पॉलिसी मेकिंग. वी शुड हैव inclusive way of policy making, जिसमें both the knowledge system should survive well. Alright, so this is about this question on the tribal knowledge system and how it is different from the how it is unique when it is compared to the mainstream knowledge and culture system. Now, let us move to the next question, which is about examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. Again, two things combined together. They are asking about gig economy, and then they are asking also about its contribution to the empowerment of women in India. Okay? So, of course, you have to start with gig economy in this answer. So you have to mention that gig economy is about flexible work. It's about short-term engagement of labor. It's about independent work culture. It doesn't depend on employer or employees relation. It doesn't depend on that. It has a very independent work culture, very flexible, very short term. Okay. अब इस तरह का जो इकोनॉमी है, जो लेबर डिमांड जो जनरेट हुआ है इंडिया में, how it has contributed to the empowerment of women. Now, through empowerment of women points, you have to also discuss little nitty-gritty of उसमें भी आपके गिग इकोनॉमी के पॉइंट्स आ जाएंगे. कैसे आएंगे? So how it is going to contest. So the role of the gig economy in the women empowerment in India could be are as following. So first of all, it's a flexible work. It provides flexibility, which adds to the work-life balance. Okay, so the gig economy offers flexible work hours. How it offers gig economy क्या होती है? You have app-based services in your phone, Swiggy, Uber, Urban Clamp, where somebody comes at your door to provide you a service for a very short period. You become the employer of that person, or the customer for that person to utilize the service for a very short period, and after that, that relation gets vanished. So it's very flexible. Whenever the service provider wants to enter to that job market, it can enter, and whenever it wants to come out, it can come out. It depends on their availability for the job market. And women labor have always been subject to their availability of their labor in the job market because of sometime marriage and children, and then the gig economy, because it's flexible and it provides work-life balance, so it offers flexible work hours, allowing women to balance employment with unpaid care work. So it can give them employment with care work or household work. And that's how it is. It is very benefited. It is very uh, it has contributed a lot in the empowerment of women, because they could utilize this kind of work culture for their economic stability or for the economic gains. Okay, next point, worst is flexibility. Next point would be this gig economy provides diverse job opportunities. How? Women are increasingly participating in non-traditional roles like technology, engineering, where they were previously unrepresented. So, the gig economy provides different kind of platforms. When I'm saying different kind of platform, it is based on different kind of apps which make the gig economy possible. And for example, if there is an app to provide tuition classes for children, let's say for the class 9th and 10th, earlier to find these kind of job opportunities was so difficult. This kind of labor to provide even tuition classes was depending on word of mouth, right? But now when you try to put this labor through an app, then you are being able to access a wider customer base, which means that you get wider job opportunities base, right? So you have to be very, very careful by saying, using this term, that how the job opportunities are expanding for women through gig economy. अगर आप ये याद रखेंगे ना कि gig economy is in app based, technology based, short term flexible work, then you will be able to place things very smoothly, that what kind of benefits it provides and how it is contributing to for the benefit of women. So when you have diverse job opportunity, then your possibility of gaining employment increases, which was earlier limited. Okay, so it's quite possible that there are many job opportunities which are based on work from home, and that suits women better. And that became possible only through gig economy, right? So that's how these job opportunities diverse job opportunities is another point that has gone in favor of women in the gig economy. Uh, of course, another point definitely is the economic empowerment, because it's about employment. It gives money to women and decent income they can earn, and they can enhance or improve their standard of living and financial independence. Okay, it is also breaking, another point can be, it is also the breaking the gender stereotype in the labor market. So the gig economy challenges, traditional gender role. How it challenges the traditional gender role? By providing, uh, various opportunities for women to enter and utilize the opportunities in the job market through the app-based, technology-based gig economy. So women participation in the labor has gone, better, because it stands on the ideas of flexibility and and diverse job opportunities. So the gig economy challenges traditional gender role by providing women with access to wider range of jobs. जब हम women empowerment की बात कर रहे हैं, we can also talk about certain challenges which can, if they are overcome, then the women empowerment can get better. First is the digital divide. Still, when we see there is a gender disparity in the usage of digital platform or digital technologies, because women have limited access to that in the rural area especially, this poses a specific barrier to entry in the gig economy. If women are made digitally educated, then it's quite possible that in the rural places also, women who make local stuff and art and culture, they can also read at the wider audience and the wider customer base through gig economy. Wage disparity. Women gig workers often face wage disparity with an 8 to 10% difference in the earning compared to male counterparts, and that can be the snippet of the larger picture. In most of the but in most of the employment sector this is happening. So you can bring this point in the gig economy also. A very important limitation is limited social protection, because there is no standardized policy for the employees' safety and security, and there is no proper contract between employer and the employee. So the employer is not bound for the well-being or the welfare of the employee. भी हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कुछ पॉलिसीज होती है ना which are made for the employees benefit, but in this sector of work it is not so. It's very flexible, it's very short term, so nothing of that sort is here. And so you have to if you really need to write the limitations of this, then you can say that if these points are, or these limitations are overcome, then the gig economy can get better and better for the process of women empowerment in India. So the gig economy can significantly empower women in India by offering flexibility, diverse job opportunities and economic development. However, addressing the challenges is crucial for more inclusive and gender equitable gig economy. Collaboration between the government and private sector is essential to create a supportive environment for women gig workers. So this is how you are supposed to deal with this question on gig economy and the process of women empowerment in India. Now let's quickly move towards the next question, which is about IT industry. गिग इकोनॉमी के बाद अब देखिए किस तरह से इकोनॉमी और सोशल इंडियन सोसाइटी को मिक्स किया गया है इस साल के क्वेश्चंस में. सो नाउ द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट व्हाट आर द मेन सोशो इकोनॉमिक इम्प्लीकेशन arising out of the development of IT industries in major cities in India. First of all, you have to talk about little bit about here the इसमें again दो चीज़ें हैं, development of IT industries in the cities and its implication, socio-economic implications. Okay. Now, first of all, you have to start with the development of IT industry. That how development of IT industry started, and you can start with 1990s liberalization policies. Liberalization policies के बारे में अगर थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेंगे तो this will be very useful in various answer writing. So economic liberalization of 1990s. This established what happened out of this economic liberalization policy. This established the software technology parks and sector, IT sector in India, or that expanded the employment base in the IT sector in India. So today India is a global IT hub with major city hosting numerous multinational and domestic IT companies. The development of IT industries in major cities of India has led to significant socio-economic implication. So जब employment in the IT sector आया, so this employment came through those companies, MNCs, which established their units in the cities, major cities or around the cities of India. Okay, so when that happened, what are the socio-economic implications? First of all, socio-economic implication was urbanization, or you can start with migration, urbanization, and these are quite obvious terms. Migration happened because the IT sector was hovering around cities. People from smaller cities migrated from tier 2 cities. They migrated to bigger cities. So this led to a major growth in urbanization. So IT industry have contributed to rapid urbanization in major cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. Even this is how you have to create a scenario that how IT industry contributed into the growth of the city in a specific manner. Some cities became IT hub. Those cities are like Bangalore, Hyderabad and Pune. This has led to an increased demand for housing, transportation, other amenities, because if people are migrating to these cities, then it has to grow in terms of its housing, transportation and other amenities. However, it has also resulted in issues like traffic congestion, pollution, strain on public infrastructure. And that is why we are having, we're moving towards tier 2 cities to make them, hub for companies and employment opportunities. So first, socio-economic implication is migration and the growth of urbanization. Another socio-economic implication could be employment generation. As I said, the IT sector has been a major source of employment in India with millions of jobs created in recent years. IT is everywhere. So it has created millions of jobs for the people, for the educated people, or let's say computer, who had knowledge of information and technology. For them, it was a big employment generation kind of a sector. This has led to an increase in their, what did I say in the discussion of the question? When there is a employment generation, then it leads to economic gains. Then it further led to डिस्पोजेबल इनकम. डिस्पोजेबल इनकम क्या होती है? डिस्पोजेबल इनकम एक इनकम की वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है विच वी कैन स्पेंड ऑन कंजम्पशंस विच आर नॉट आर नेसेसिटी बट वी डू इट फॉर लग्जरी. So it added to the disposable income, improved living standards of many individuals and families, and that's how it's one of the economic gain become one of the social implications, because it led to different kind of consumption patterns. Okay, this sector has also attracted large number of skilled professionals from rural areas, leading to brain drain in those regions. Rural areas, tier 2 city. So what has happened? The youth from those smaller cities or smaller regions of India, they migrated towards the, as I said, bigger cities. So when the youth migrates, what is left behind in the smaller city is the senior citizens. So now the tier 2 city gradually becomes the city of senior citizens. So how their life gets affected when young people migrate, right? So how their care gets affected when young people migrate towards bigger city. So that's a social implication, the life of women, the life of senior citizens. That's how you have to think and write about them. Infrastructure development is another socio-economic implication, that the growth of IT industry has necessitated the development of better infrastructure such as roads, public transport, and other utilities for the growth of that city, and it has also led to improved connectivity and accessibility to major cities, that all the cities are now interconnected smoothly by roads. However, the rapid race of development has also put pressure on existing. Now the saturation point has come in many cities. Saturation point क्या होता है? That these cities cannot take any more load, any more burden of more population and providing facilities to them. That is why in the cities the the services and the smoothness of living experience is crumbling down. You have problem of traffic, you have problem of water, electricity sometimes, because the load on the resources is increasing and increasing and increasing, and the cities have come to a saturation point where they cannot take the load. So this is how the infrastructure development is happening, but the constant migration is still creating a problem. It is going at a faster pace. That's why. Now, if we talk about specifically about social implication, so social implication would be that it brought about significant social changes such as increased gender diversity in workforce. So in IT Hub, you see, inclusion of women. They are considered to be women friendly um, or sector. So it led to women into inclusion of women into the workforce. This sector also contributed to the growth of, this could be the first point of social, second point could be the growth of middle class, which is now characterized through their education plus consumption pattern. Okay, it has also led to widening the income gap and creating a digital divide between those with access to technology and those without access to technology, because IT became the thing of the contemporary times. So whoever could gain access or through knowledge or through usage, they could benefit, and those who cannot gain access or knowledge, they lagged behind. So they could not benefit, which means that it led to a major digital divide. Okay, so that's how you are supposed to tell about different implications of IT industry growth. अब IT industry growth को आपने बहुत ही normally observe किया होगा around you in your society or in your place wherever you are living, or in news item when you read about them. But when you think that what are the actually implications, they can be of multiple kinds. So in conclusion, you can say that the development of IT industry in the major city of India has both positive and negative socio-economic implication. It has led to urbanization, employment generation, infrastructure development. It has also resulted in issues like traffic congestion, pollution and social inequality because of this digital divide. And these challenges are crucial for ensuring the what? Cities का sustainable growth. Okay, so that's how you have to, here you're talking about cities also, IT industry also, and the socio-economic implication as well. Okay, quickly let's move to the next question on population education, that how the objective of population education is what are the main objective of population education, and point out the measures to achieve them in India in detail. So population education is an education program that focuses on the study of population. It focuses on population dynamics. अब पॉपुलेशन डायनेमिक्स क्या होते हैं कि पॉपुलेशन जो है वो डायनेमिक है, वो इट कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग, इट्स अ चेंजिंग फिनोमिना. वो क्यों चेंज होती है, what are the implications of that change? So population education tells us about that, and that can be fertility, majorly mortality and migration. Okay, so when it is about population dynamics, one of the main focus has remained in India is about family planning, ताकि वो बहुत high fertility या high growth की तरफ ना जाए. And it's also about telling people, population education is about telling people to have right attitude or responsible attitude towards population related issues. And in India, achieving these issues have, how it has remained a challenging task. But let's say, what are the major objective of population education? Understanding population dynamics, promoting responsible family planning, and developing rational decision making skill, so that people can take informed decision about the future, कि फ्यूचर में पॉपुलेशन ट्रेंड्स कैसे चेंज होंगे. सो इट्स अबाउट फ्यूचर ट्रेंड्स एंड प्रेजेंट challenges pertaining to population. Okay, how to achieve these objectives? Family planning achieve करना है. क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव फैमिली प्लानिंग अचीव करना है? फ्यूचर ट्रेंड्स को समझना है. रिस्पॉन्सिबल एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स द प्रेजेंट चैलेंज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, के बारे में सेंसिटाइज करना है पॉपुलेशन को. सो हाउ टू डू दैट? So first of all, one has to integrate, or the government has to integrate population education as part of the curriculum. Children from the young age, if they are taught about family planning, if they are taught about how increasing population is detrimental for the growth of the country, then they will think in that manner from the childhood. When they grow up, then you say, okay, now you have to be responsible. That doesn't happen. You have to bring it as part of the curriculum. You have to, because it is about education, you have to talk about that the training of teachers, because by providing specific training in population education, enabling them to effectively teach the subject and promote responsible attitude. अब इस एजुकेशन का एक ऑब्जेक्टिव अगर रिस्पॉन्सिबल एटीट्यूड है, so it is very important that the teachers are trained in such a manner that they generate responsible attitude amongst the students. So इसे teacher training is important. Overcoming social and economic, social and religious taboos, addressing population issues can also be a social and religious issue also, because every religion have different idea about the concept of family and the size of family. So it has to address social and religious barriers that hinder the adoption of family planning methods, and promote open discussion about population issues. So population issues should be discussed as a larger issue, which is for the larger good, and should not be seen from a religious lens, but from a national growth lens. Another important way to promote is that you have to promote gender equality, encourage gender equality in education, empower women to make informed decision, because in family planning, role of women are also very important, and if the women are empowered, family planning is practiced in automatic manner. See, working women have lesser children, right? Educated women will have informed decision about fertility and childbearing and decision about, so they will be able to take decision about the children and the number of children they want to have. So it's very important that focus on women empowerment and gender equality is important. And then when you focus all these, and then of course you have to, another very important aspect related to education, और education के बारे में कोई भी question आता है, you have to bring what? Technology here. So when you bring technology into the dissemination of population education, it becomes wider. Many people can know about it, and that's how, if many people know about it, the objectives of population education will be met. So only number of students learning about it in a classroom will be very limited, but you have to be very focused about how to wide the knowledge pool. So in conclusion, you can say that the population education is essentially for addressing the challenges of rapid population growth in India, And by focusing on the main objective and implementing measures such as integrating population education into the teach, curriculum, training teachers, reducing population, religious taboos related to population issues, and usage of technology. So, like this, we can achieve sustainable population growth rate, ensure better quality of life for a citizen. So, the main objective also you have to say is should be about achieving sustainable population growth. Alright? And that's how you have to form this answer. See, Adi, we are coming to the end of this class, and I can discuss subsequent questions in the next session. But you have to keep one thing in mind, that while learning this, or while listening to these videos, you might feel that these questions are not going to come. Why are we learning about them? See, it's important that for the training purpose, to think, to formulate your answers, and to write, you need to have the understanding of how the previous questions are to be written. और अगर आप उनके सिर्फ आंसर्स सुन लेते हैं ना कि उसके आंसर्स कैसे बन सकते थे, it will definitely give you a very important skill of formulating answers in the question that might come in your examination. So to develop that skill, you have to listen to the answer, how they are created and what kind of different points each question का आंसर शुड बी इंक्लूडेड टू मेक इट ए गुड आंसर. और उसमें अगर आप वैरायटी ऑफ क्वेश्चंस के आप आंसर्स को सुन लेते हैं, उससे आपको एक वेरी फोकस अंडरस्टैंडिंग यू गेट हाउ टू राइट योर आंसर्स इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन. सो विद दिस आई टेक योर लीव, and I hope you do find this session useful, and let's wait for many more to come. Take care, and see you soon.